Morning, 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 Roxanne. As always, thank you for my brooms. Rookman, Gangadine, morning, Rookman. Morning, Aline. Aline Lewis, Cyril Mayas, morning, sir. Alberta Samprat, morning. Maureen Washington Smith, morning to you. Neil Francois, always present, morning, sir. All right, so I have no idea. I'm not seeing a name for this person with a pink background. Wazid, morning. J Dimples, morning. Merle Durant, morning to you. Lynette Harris, morning. Alberta Sampat, Lisa Atwater, morning to you guys. Kenneth Gabriel and Winston Jones, morning guys. Carol Boyce, John, Selma Lashley, Leon Joseph, morning to all of you guys as well. On Facebook we have Nigel O'Connor, good morning to the President of Pleasantville, His Excellency, and First Lady Mauricia Keegan. Jenny Joseph, morning. Marva James, morning to you. Sarah Richards, morning. Morning, Diane. Judy Bowen, morning. Christopher Siffy, is it? Morning, sir. Celestine Shelton, Aline, morning. Arthur James, Merle, Junran, Sean, Ziba, morning to all of you. Christopher Sarat, morning, sir. Jama Alexander, morning, Jama. Joy Ragunanan, morning, Joy. Alison Boyce, morning to you. Jennifer Dorset. Deborah, morning. Natalie F, morning. Annette Hunt, Jeremy Lewis, Salma Lashley, morning guys. Camilla Dean, Annette Neptune, Deish Rubin, Althea, Leon Joseph, morning to all of you. Henry Amsterdam, morning. John Edwards, Ashton Clark, morning folks. It's easy killing me this morning. Trevor John, morning sir. Garnet Greenwich, morning to you. John Keto. Get this thing here. Clayton Smith, Pamela Nelson, morning. Philomena Collins, morning to you. Adriana Alexis, morning. Patty Kutu, Margaret Thomas. Patricia Lazare, Denise Coggins, morning. 6:40. Right? Let me jump into it. Morning. Guess the other guys will jump on. Right. So a few things to discuss this morning. Morning, Maria. And I don't have any early morning meetings or so to attend. So we could chat a little bit more this morning. Again, thank you to all of you who extended condolences on the passing of my niece and sister-in-law. Carlos Fonelier. Carlos, I think you're supposed to know my niece and sister-in-law, and they were from up on that side. Mario Guevara, morning, sir. Marilyn Wanza Cloud, morning. Ruth Frampton, morning to you. Morning, Donna. Yes. It was an experience, my first double funeral, and I hope that it would be my last. But we held up well. Cheryl Seeley, morning. Debbie Markey, morning. Margaret Thomas. Selma Lashley, thank you so much, Selma. Morning, Carol Myers. So someone sent me a clip, a link to Power 102's morning show yesterday. As you know, I think they're off air now and they are strictly, I think, on YouTube, right? Radio you can watch, I think, is their tagline. I've never looked at it before since Power 102 came off air. But this morning show that is hosted by Paul Richards, Wendell Stevens, Richard Raghubasing, Steve Kahn. And the discussion yesterday morning was about, in part, about local government. And certain comments that were made by one of the hosts drew the attention of one of the viewers who sent me the link because they were surprised by the utterances coming from this individual who is supposed to be a staunch PNM, having served as a local government councillor and I think as alderman for a period of time at the behest of the People's National Movement. And so I decided to take a listen to it. And I too was surprised. And I felt I needed to address some of the things that were said. Because, we're all about clearing up misconceptions, misinformation, and the like. And I was pretty surprised. But I'm going to play some of it for you guys so you can hear for yourselves. And then, we'll take it from there.
And then down the line.
Yes.
Usually, down in the NS, agriculture and local government.
And local government. You're right. You're absolutely right.
And of local government, about 80% is administrative cost recurrent.
Yes, most are going to recurrent expenditure.
So what does that tell you about the focus on local government by the state?
There's been none, which is why, Paul and gentlemen, I supported local government reform, because I was very hopeful because of what I was hearing in terms of how the funds would be used from property tax and all these different issues for local government. I was very hopeful, but it was a hoax. That's what it was.
How dare you?
No, it was a
How
hoax.
dare you? Why would you say something like that? That's terrible.
And then we put people in charge of corporations who have no right running a parlor.
When you say we put them there, isn't it a voting process?
No, to become a mayor or chairman? Oh, hell no.
I just get the sense
if it was a voting process, I would have been the mayor.
From their responsibilities with stray animals to, I just think, and yes, you're right, it's always been an area that's been lacking funding and focus. But I guess you're right, there was a lot of hullabaloo and a whole campaign by the government leading up to local government elections. Is it last year?
Yes.
About reform.
I get that.
And when we had the honor of speaking to the Prime Minister in an interview coming up to the end of last year, and the question was asked of the Prime Minister, when are the other aspects of the local government, the reform law, which was passed, going to be operationalized? He told us early 2024.
Yes.
Well, I don't feel July can be called early anymore. And we have not heard anything. We see a lot of muscle flexing, a lot of bicep flexing. You understand? And grants are failing. But the people who offered themselves for the service did so, I'm presuming in many cases, under the predicate that it was going to be an almost professionalized position.
Yes.
At some level with a different remuneration package so that they don't have to be part-time and they can offer greater services and more efficiency to the burgesses and revolutionize local government and put more accountability in the corporations and reconcile the anomalies between the CEO and the chairman and the mayor.
Let me tell you something. I feel sorry for a lot of the people who get involved in local government. I really feel sorry for them. And people ask me, Wendell, how you do that for 21 years? Well, I did it with a lot of prayers and a lot of patience. You understand? But in the end there, I really felt hopeful and I really said, this is going to change. This is going to happen. And then it was a hoax. Because we have people who gave up a lot to get involved in local government because of exactly what you just said, Paul. You understand?
There were promises of reform, and it's going to be, you're going to get this money and more, but because the money is basically a stipend as it stands, and the structure is going to be changed. And I sat on the JSC with the thing about TICSO, you know. And they were told this is extremely voluminous. The intention is wide sweeping, and there should be a strategic plan to phase this in a structured manner to avoid as much disruption as possible. This came up over and over and over. Yet,
I remember making a special plea when the Salaries Review Commission report came out recently that at least give the local government people their increase. No, nothing happened. You understand? They pay, and everybody calls on a local government councillor. I stopped being a councillor since 2016 because in that last.
I'm not going to go as far as you did and say it's a hoax, but I will say that the scenario that was promised needs to be operationalized. It is unconscionable that almost a year after, when was the local government last year?
It was October 20,
yes,
September
again.
September 2022.
Little or nothing has been done in terms of operationalizing those laws or giving people the sense that they are moving toward that.
Exactly.
Watch.
Some people on the chat are saying property tax is holding back local government reform. No, it is not, because local government reform has been in discussion long before property tax was. So don't tell me property tax is what is holding it back. I've been in local government since 1999, and we're talking local government reform. Property tax wasn't even an issue.
Shall we open the phones?
We shall. You know the numbers? 222-8255.
If they're seeing changes in their local government regime or their new councillors are
salary of the councillors and the offices they were supposed to get and the permanent position they were supposed to get. I raised this issue this week, last Saturday, going there, right? And John Benoit also agreed with me, who is a staunch PNM. He boasts that he's a PNM. He also agreed with my stance on it. I'm glad to hear you all raising the issue this morning. Right?
All right, good.
I'll leave it there this morning. Have a great day, gentlemen.
All right, have a good.
You know, morning, Richard. My party.
never known.
Let me tell you something. My party, the People's National Movement, my government, they've never been good at local government. The only time I had hope in local government was when Mrs. Hazel Manning was local government minister. We have a bad track record with local government. And as a matter of fact, and I said it before and I'm going to say it again this morning, the changes in local government came under Carlos John and then under the People's Partnership with who was the local government minister, Chandra Sharma. That's when changes came. That's when councillors were given an increase. That's when councillors were given an office. That's when councillors were given a staff, somebody, an administrative assistant with a stipend. Those are when the changes took place. That is the reality. Those are facts. Those are facts.
What are you saying, Wendell?
What I'm saying is the truth.
What are you saying? What are you saying?
But my party and my government have a bad track record with local government. Terrible.
Agrabah Singh, do you have newspapers?
Yes, I do, actually.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. They say they don't care about local government. Really?
I ain't saying they don't care, but I'm giving you the facts. Because when under Carlos John, we got an increase. So much I get a back pay. First time I see I get a back pay, right? And then the next time it happened was when the People's Partnership came into power. That's when they sweep local government too, in 2010, right? 2 months after general elections, they swept the local government. They immediately gave councillors an office. They gave them a staff, an administrative assistant, $3,000 a month. The office was $2,500 a month, and $1,000 extra for stationery. That is a fact. Nothing else has happened in local government.
Of course I can. The Newsday. Let me start with the Newsday. Of course, there is when.
Right. So that there was Paul Richards and Wendell Stephen. As I mentioned to you before, this was drawn to my attention by one of their viewers based on the utterances of Mr. Stephen, right? Because the person who sent it to me was very surprised, knowing how entrenched Mr. Stephen is in the PNM. So I listened to it and I too was surprised. And Mr. Stevens would have said certain things that were very instructive to me. First of all, at the start of the clip, where Paul Richard asked, "Isn't it elected?" And he said no, because had it been an elected process, he would have been the mayor a long time, the mayor of what? Port of Spain, because he served on the Port of Spain City Corporation Council. He went on to talk about appointing people as mayor who shouldn't even be running a parlor. I don't know if that is reference to the current mayor of Port of Spain, Chinua Arlene. I don't know. Right? I always say if you had to criticize the government, there are a lot of things we could criticize the government on, but it should be based on fact, not on the basis of conjecture or because you're suffering from a chronic case of didn't get. So you didn't get to be mayor, so you're vexed. So you go on, well, I don't know if I'll call this national radio, to chastise the government to the point where you who served as a local government practitioner as a standard bearer of the PNM since, as he said, 1999, would come to call local government reform as articulated by the government last year, and the last couple of years or so, as a hoax. And Paul Richards had to pull him up on that. Ask him, how dare you? And then he went on to say further on, as you would have heard, I wouldn't go so far as you to call it a hoax, but he expresses concern about what's happening with respect to the rollout of local government reform. But again, even Paul Richards too was deceptive in that he said, we've heard nothing with respect to the rollout of local government reform and the proclamation of the rest of the act, which is totally incorrect, as I will read for you shortly. And it forces me to go back to something I spoke about on Tuesday, right? With respect to persons who call themselves journalists, both locally and abroad, talk show hosts who come to talk about a topic and you are not seized of the information. Case in point, neither one of them knows when local government election was last year. How? I am baffled. So Paul Richard, when was local government election? And you will, Mr. Stevens, say, October, September, and then he says September with a certain degree of gusto implying, yes, it's September. No, it was August 14th. How you can remember that, again, is beyond me, right? I don't know if it is perhaps because, I don't know, I don't think he's still on council. I could be wrong, right? I don't know. But how you could not know that? When we kept hearing August 14th was ringing in your ears every time you listen to the UNC. On August 14th, yellow is the code. On August 14th, we're going to beat the PNM to a frazzle, and then we're going to beat the frazzle too. And August 14th, come out in your numbers and vote for the UNC. You remember that? But yet still, you don't even know when local government election was last year. But you're talking as if you're an expert. You're talking as, you have all the answers. And what was most instructive to me in listening to Mr. Stevens is that all reference that he made to improvements or anything being done in local government over the last so many years with respect to reform was centered around or focused on remuneration for the councillors. You heard him talk about under Carlos John, they get back pay and they got a raise. And then when the People's Partnership came in 2010 and they swept the polls in 2010, they gave councillors offices and the councillors get a raise and they got support staff $3,000 a month and the office get $2,500 a month and $1,000 for stationery. And the focus, then prior to that, you spoke about when the Salaries Review Commission report came out and he recommended that they increase the salary, that these increase the salaries for the councillors, and he was told no and all of that. So the focus for him, everything that he said there with respect to any improvements in local government was focused solely on remuneration for the councillors. So it's all about the councillors. I thought local government was supposed to be improving the delivery of goods and services to the burgesses, the people to whom it matters most, who are supposed to be the primary beneficiaries of local government. It's not about the councillors, because nobody put a gun to anybody's head and say, hey, go up and to be screened as a candidate for local government. Hey, you're going to become a councillor. Nobody did that, right? Everybody who decided to offer themselves to serve. We always like to talk about serve and serve. I want to serve my country, servant leadership, all that BS. When in truth and in fact, the main motivator is the money, the perks of office, And that's the problem. Perks of office. Because if it is, they say local government, there are no salary, based on what I just heard there, very few people would come forward. And I think it was very disingenuous on the part of Mr. Stevens, who again, talking about my party, the PNM, to say that the PNM has always been terrible at local government, and the only time anything was done in local government was under the UNC. But to address that issue or to make that comment and preface it on this from the time when you came into local government in 1999 is very disingenuous, because local government didn't start in 1999. We could go back to the days when the corporations were called county councils. And then eventually it evolved into the corporations and so on. So back in those days, the PNM did nothing for local government when Eric Williams was prime minister and so on. Nothing was done in local government, right? If we listen to him based on what he said. So since then, the days of Eric Williams come forward up until 1999, nothing was done in local government. The PNM did absolutely nothing with respect to local government, right? Basically, that's what we could discern from what Mr. Stevens is saying. And I have a problem with people who represent themselves as saying that you're PNM. Listen, I am not saying you can't criticize the government. I have said here, there are things that the government could be criticized for, things that they could do better. You all know I always criticize the party, and by extension, the government with respect to their public relations. I say they could do much more, a lot more. They're doing things and it is not being publicized. People aren't aware of it. And that, to my mind, is negatively affecting the government and the party. Because what is the point of doing all of these things and citizens don't know? And the persons are on a daily basis are being fed a constant diet of the government. They're doing nothing. They ain't doing nothing. They don't care about the poor. They only care about the 1%. And after 9 years, they have nothing to show. But there's a lot to show. But for some reason, they seem to be weak in showing it. And I always criticize. But to come and make a statement like that that the PNM has always been bad at local government and so on. And he was hopeful with all of this talk about local government reform. And to dub it a hoax, to my mind, is most unfortunate. Because if you're going to come and discuss that topic, at least do your research to determine and find out what has been the hold-up and what has been the keep-back. And I'm seeing persons in the chat here who could tell you, who are stating what the facts are with respect to what were the challenges and are the challenges that the government is facing or has faced with respect to the full proclamation of the Local Government Reform Act, where certain aspects of it were proclaimed. And we know the government would have indicated in 2022 that the main reason for extending the life of the former local government councils was so that the government could put in place the infrastructure to facilitate the full rollout of the local government reform bill. Because there were a lot of things there that were articulated in the bill that required infrastructure. And I'm not just talking about physical infrastructure, talking about personnel and the review and of certain processes and procedures that currently exist within the system, things that needed to be fixed before you could proclaim. Because it doesn't make sense that you proclaim and you're saying the councils could do this and they could do that, but they are hamstrung from doing any of the things that this new act or this reform empowers them to do, because the system's not in place, the infrastructure not in place, the procedure is not in place for them to do it. So you're just lame duck. Okay, you tell me I could do this, but how am I to do this when the equipment is not there, so I can't do it? So what is the point? And this is the same thing. We go back to 2012, 2013 with the Administration of Justice Bill, which gave birth to Section 34, where the PNM then gave their support to the People's Partnership with respect to that bill, and all members of Parliament who were present voted for it. But the PNM did so on the promise or the caveat that they would give their support, but the bill would not be proclaimed, or the act would not be proclaimed again until all of the infrastructure to facilitate its full rollout was in place, which included the hiring of masters of the court, more judges, the construction of judicial centers, and all of these different things, right? So that when it's proclaimed, you could hit the ground running. Not that you come and you hustle and you proclaim, but we have the law in place, but we can't do this because we don't have enough masters. We haven't hired the masters yet. We don't have the judicial centers. We don't have this. We don't have that. So what is the point of proclamation? Putting law in place and all of the things that you need to give teeth to the law doesn't exist. And so the government said, this is why we are going to delay the local government election by 1 year. What did UNC do? They went to court and they went to the Privy Council. They want election, call the election, the PNM hiding. That's what they did, right? Without the infrastructure being in place. Now let me address something here. For the benefit of Mr. Stevens, who might not be aware. Get this here. And Paul Richards as well. So they talked about councillors were supposed to be full-time. And they were supposed to receive increased salaries, right? Let me just address this in an article dated November 5th, 2022, entitled Taken by Surprise. UNC local government representatives have been taken by surprise by the announcement of a partial proclamation of the Miscellaneous Provisions Local Government Reform Bill 2020. This according to Chairman of the Penal Labor Regional Corporation, Alan Sami, who said UNC councillors and aldermen have been kept in the dark about the whole process, which was another lie. Because you all may very well remember when it is that the Minister of Local Government and the Prime Minister had called a meeting of all councillors, PNM, UNC, right? The UNC didn't show up, councillors didn't show up, aldermen didn't show up because Kamala Prasad Bisasa told them, don't go. I know some of you all might be in armor to go and sit down and first days going and see the Prime Minister, and I don't want to let her go there like some little children, and oh my God, look the Prime Minister there, and you sit down and you're so taken in by him, don't go. She told them that, let us not forget that. Only one man went. The dissident was his name Samuel Sankar. He went. I remember what happened to him after that. Today he's no longer a UNC councillor. Right? They call him Ani Makaram and he's a traitor and all kind of things because he went. He said he went to hear what was being said because for the benefit of his burgesses. It's not about party. He went there, right? Because they say, come, there are things that you need to hear. So when Alan Sami could come and say that, well, it is, he said, boy, UNC councillors and aldermen have been kept in the dark about the whole process. No, they didn't. You all didn't go. The information was that you all chose not to show up based on the advice, the sage advice of your political leader because she thought that was a good thing to do, to tell her they don't go. So Mr. Sweda BS. On Thursday, Rural Development and Local Government Minister Faris Al-Rawi announced that the bill will be partially proclaimed on Tuesday, allowing for the extension of terms of councillors and aldermen from 3 to 4 years. As a result, local government elections, which were constitutionally due in December 22 and March 23, would not be held until December 2023 to March 24. Sami said it was a recipe for chaos and confusion, and we have not a clue on what parts were being proclaimed, and he should have gone to the meeting. But anyway, that's not what I wanted to read. I wanted to read the part where Paul Richards and Mr. Stevens talking about councillors who are supposed to be made permanent and full-time and permanent, well, not permanent, but full-time, right? So, which would have required them to leave their jobs, their substantive professions, to become full-time councillors because they're getting an increased compensation package for you leaving your job, right? So they're telling you, they were supposed to do that, but they didn't do that yet. All right. Let me get this here. Arima Mayor, concerns about full-time service. Arima Mayor Kagni Kasemi said local government reform is necessary to ensure that corporations have the resources to properly address the concerns of their burgesses. He said he was in full support of the partial proclamation and the phased implementation of the new law. So since 2022, there's been this talk about phased implementation. So when I hear Paul Richards talking about, he tell them, you know, we had this discussion and he told them over and over and over, and this is voluminous and the intent is so much and they should do it on a phased basis. But look at here in this 2022 article, apparently Paul Richards didn't get a memo. He said he was in full support of the partial proclamation and the phased implementation of the new law. Since the UNC denied the government the extra time to be able to put in as much infrastructure as they could to facilitate the new law by having to call the election, because the government's intent was, and at least by the time the elections are held and these new councillors and new councils come into place, that much of the infrastructure would be in would be in place so that we could roll out or proclaim more of the act. More of the act, right? But the UNC say we're not interested in that. All they're trying to buy time. And they were always about election and election. They didn't care about the Burgesses. It was all about we're going to beat the PNM to a frazzle and then we're going to beat the frazzle too. Because the PNM, we're going to win, and they were so sure. That didn't happen. He said he had discussions with other councillors and they too are in support. He said some have, however, expressed concern with the move towards making the jobs of local government representatives full-time. Let me repeat that. He said some have, however, expressed concern with the move towards making the jobs of local government representatives full-time. Al-Rawi said on Thursday that part of local government reform would be ensuring that councillors and aldermen serve in their positions on a full-time, salaried basis, as many currently have other jobs and careers. And under the new law, they would have to give up these careers to serve in local government full-time. Kasimi said many councillors have already signaled that they are not willing to give up their careers. Most of the councillors who are employed on our council, if they are required to leave their jobs and be fully salaried under local government reform, they have indicated that they will not make themselves available. There are a couple who are still thinking about it, but we have councillors who have careers outside of local government council, and they are not willing to give up their careers. Kasimi said more clarity is needed on who will be fully salaried and how the positions will work. So you have councillors who are saying, I'm not giving up my job. I am not prepared to serve full-time. Because in their mind, they're thinking, well, all right, this is a 4-year position. At the end of 4 years, things could happen. Perhaps my party could say, well, hey, you didn't really do a good job, so we're replacing you with a new candidate. I give up my job so I could be a full-time councillor, and then I am replaced, and now I have no job. What am I supposed to do? This is the mindset of some people, which is a fair mindset to have. They're telling themselves, look, you're probably working in the public service. You're looking to make your 33 and a third, and you're close to that. And then they come to them and I have to give up my job to be a full-time councillor, and I lose out on certain pension benefits because I resigned from a job and so on. Some of them thinking, well, suppose I'm not re-elected. I guaranteed 4 years. But what if I'm not re-elected at the end of 4 years? I lose the position. What am I going to do? I'm on the breadline. I have a family to feed and I give up my job. I can't go back to my employer and say, what, now I can give up my work. So again, it's all about compensation. But Paul Richards ain't talking that talk. Mr. Stevens ain't talking that talk. Right? Have they sought to address these concerns? So what they think that the government should give a hefty gratuity to councillors at the end of 4 years? Those who don't win their seat? Or those who are replaced? I just asking. So the focus is on councillors and compensation, not about the Burgesses and how you're supposed to serve them. But again, blame the government. So the full-time thing is not in place yet because you have opposition from councillors who are telling you, I ain't about that to know. And if it is only come to tell me that being full-time means I have to give up my job, then forget that. Because understand, and this is the thing that confuses me based on the current situation, right? You have persons who are teachers. And I've always asked the question, so if you're a teacher and when they have council meetings, you miss in school so that you could go into this council meeting, which will probably last for quite a few hours. So who is teaching your children? So they have to find a substitute teacher for the day for your class. So is it ideal? So perhaps you should probably look at certain professions with respect to that, give you that flexibility to be able to do that or to serve in those positions. Because if you're full-time, and as Mr. Stevens is saying here, that they should have at least increased the salaries for the councillors to the full-time salaries and so on, but you're working part-time, but give them the full-time salary. Because as he says, people always call in on a councillor. And technically, a councillor is a full-time job anyway, because if things happen, they're supposed to show up on the scene. A lot of them don't. But give them the full-time salary, even though they're still part-time. And the unfortunate thing is that for a lot of these people who go up as councillors, they see this as a work, an opportunity to make extra money. So I'm not giving up my job. Why should I give up my job where I'm probably making $6,000, $7,000 a month? And if they give me a full-time salary here, which might be, I don't know, another $7,000, $8,000 a month, and I can make $15,000, $16,000 for the month, why would I give up my full-time job? with all of the other perks that I may be getting as well. And if it is your employer willing to give you time off, so be it. So be it. So for them, it's not making sense. So this full-time pay would have to be significant and all of the other benefits that come with it as well. But you have people who are saying, if you tell me I had to leave my work, well, you know what? I open you. That's the day. I'll get my resignation. I don't want to be no counselor no any longer. Right? Keep that. So we will have a whole slew of by-elections because people submitting their resignations. I didn't sign up for this. So what you sign up for? You heard when you offered yourself, you were told, it was in the public domain that counselors, if the intention is to make counselors full-time. You didn't hear that. You missed that memo. You didn't understand what that meant. For you to be full-time, it means that you're working not 8 to 4. There's you're required to be in your office, at least. If you're not in your office, to be out on the field, meeting your burgesses. So you don't have time to do your employer's job. So it's not like no, the only time you probably show up, or the only time you're required to take off from your regular job is, as I said, when it is that they have council meetings. So if you're sitting on a committee, you're chairing a committee. Otherwise, that you're in your employer job doing their job, yeah, and they're getting paid for it. So what did you think full-time meant? What did they think full-time meant? It's either or. You can't be full-time as a counselor and be full-time in your normal job. But Stevens and Paul Richards, they understand that. But let me address Paul Richards. And again, the deception, the unfortunate deception. Let me get it here. Al-Rawi, local government corporations' readiness for reform being assessed. Wednesday, the 17th of April, 2024. Right? This is about 3 months ago. Well, yeah, exactly 3 months ago. Rural Development and Local Government Minister Faris Al-Rawi says local government corporations are being assessed by the ministry about their readiness for full implementation of the miscellaneous provisions, Local Government Act 2022. Al-Rawi made this comment in response to a question from independent Senator Dr. Paul Richards in the Senate on April 16. In response to a question from Paul Richards. So to hear Paul Richards just now say, we have heard nothing. We have heard nothing about the implementation or the proclamation of the rest of the. We've heard nothing about what is going on with respect to the local government reform that we heard so much about last year, and they were going to see efficiencies and this and this and that. We have heard nothing further with respect to that. And he told them about the phased implementation, and they need to do this on a phased basis. He's saying he has heard nothing. But in this article, it's telling us that 3 months ago, he asked a question and the minister, Faris Al-Rawi, responded directly to him. He said, full proclamation of the act is expected to occur over the course of the next 12 months. This is Al-Rawi. But Richards just sat down in a program yesterday and telling you, we have heard nothing. We don't know what's going on. We're clueless. We're just out there in space waiting to hear something from the government. The last thing we heard was from the Prime Minister last year, who said that full proclamation would come, or the full rollout would take place sometime in early 2024. But July cannot be considered early 2024. But you asked a question according to this article in the Senate 3 months ago, and Faris Al-Rawi told you. So to come there and talk all that and make no mention of what Faris Al-Rawi said in the Senate in response to his question, again, is dishonest and disingenuous on the part of Paul Richards. Because the fact of the matter is there are a lot of people who are listening and viewing that program who would not have seen, who don't look at Parliament channel, so they would not have seen when Paul Richards posed that question. They wouldn't have heard Faris Al-Rawi's response, probably didn't read this article, and they run in with what he said. And because you heard the caller who was talking before I played the last bit of Wendell Stevens, talking about he raised that issue on the morning show, the barbershop with John Benoit, and Benoit agreed with him and so on and all of that, and he wanted to know what is going on and why. But Paul Richards couldn't say to him, well, I posed this question in the Senate 3 months ago, and this is what I was told by the minister. The act was assented to by President on July 1st, 2022, and published in the Gazette on the same day. Al-Rawi said, in this context, local government bodies are in fact being continuously assessed to determine their readiness for implementation of the new system. Apparently, Paul Richards forget that. He's suffering from short-term memory. He made no mention of that in this interview yesterday, in this program yesterday, right? All right. According to him, we have heard nothing with respect to what's happening with the rollout. He added, all appropriate action is being taken to strengthen, reform, and upgrade bodies to handle their new roles and responsibilities. Al-Rabi said the act represents a comprehensive package of legislative amendments. While there are challenges, he continued, none of them are unexpected. Al-Rabi said plant, machinery, and people associated with the local government reforms envisaged by the act have been mapped out. Those structures are being transferred from certain areas to other areas. He reminded senators that Finance Minister Colin Burt made a provision in the 2023-2024 budget for an allocation to come from the Consolidated Fund for Property Tax, pending the Act's full proclamation that will see local government corporations collecting property tax on residential properties in their respective jurisdictions. So in a sense, the government has already put the money for property tax on the Consolidated Fund with the proclamation of the methodologies to collect property tax. Of course, those things will come in to supplement that position. So to hear Wendell Stevens chastising people in the chat who saying that property tax has held up, and he's saying local government reform since 1999, when he came in, he heard about local government reform, and property tax has nothing to do with it. This new reform regime, not the one that he was hearing about in 1999, not reform as was articulated when Hazel Manning, as he referenced, was Minister of Local Government. This new dispensation of reform, as articulated by this administration, property tax is a significant part of that. That was one of the main pillars that was espoused by the government last year and prior. The role that property tax is going to play in providing additional income, additional resources to the corporations so that they could do more. If it is that they need to buy equipment, I saw Faris Al-Rawi was commissioning the other day some new equipment that was purchased for one of the corporations and so on, right? But we know the challenges that have been faced with respect to property tax. So if in the reform we tell you, property tax will be collected by the corporations, right? And the property tax that is collected would be able to do this, and this. If we are still in the process, we saw what happened recently where they had to suspend temporarily the collection of property taxes to facilitate the reduction in the rate from 3% to 2% and all of that and so on. And I think they've now started back the collection process. So if that was a key pillar, and we are telling you property tax will serve this role in the reform process by providing additional income, because we know, we keep hearing from all of these corporations, we ain't getting no money, especially the UNC corporations. The government ain't releasing money on time. We ain't had no money. They ain't giving us no money. Shogunas Borough Corporation, always complaining. They don't have money, and they don't have money. At one point in time, they threatened to not pay salaries and have to send people home because they didn't get releases and they didn't get money to pay salaries. And then the Minister of Local Government had to come and out the mayor, Faiq Mohammed, to let him know, first of all, based on what the records that are before me, you all did not request any additional monies in the media review supplementation. You all didn't request. Notices were sent out to all 14 corporations if they needed extra monies to make requests to the ministry so that the minister could make a representation in the media review. And no such request came from the Shogunas Borough Corporation. On top of that, they had over $3 million in unspent balances, which they could have used to pay salaries, but you had the mayor saying that money wasn't earmarked for that. That money is for certain infrastructural projects and so on. Yeah, so that we can't use that. And the minister is telling you, use it, pay the people their salaries, and when it is that they are releases on the Ministry of Finance and they get it back, you simply replace it. But he insists he not using the unspent balances. So just leave it sitting down in an account somewhere, because you're saying that is for projects, right? We go again. Richards observed that some local government corporations have been notoriously derelict in providing audited financials and are now being afforded with the opportunity to collect funds from property taxes for the benefit of the burgesses. He asked whether any strong financial oversight mechanisms have been implemented to ensure that money collected by local government corporations from property taxes are not misused. And Al-Rawi said, as a matter of fact and law, the Finance Act of December 2023 put the collection of property tax in the hands of the Board of Inland Revenue, and as as and until the Minister of Finance by order passes that responsibility to local government. So even Paul Richards himself, 3 months ago, expressed a lack of confidence in the local government system, and in particular certain corporations, with respect to their readiness to collect property taxes, to implement that aspect of the reform. He, Paul Richards, pointed that out to Al-Rawi. Said, you sure what that by? Well, they want these corporations to collect property taxes, and some of them, they haven't submitted audited financials in years. So he is questioning the readiness of some of these corporations. He is, and because of that readiness, he's basically saying, well, I need to fix that before you all roll out that aspect of it. But then come in now on your morning program to say, we haven't heard anything. We don't know what it is going on. But you see, they could say these things when they know that the citizens of this country don't watch the Parliament channel. Plenty of them don't read the newspapers. And most of them get their information from the propaganda mill, right? They would go on Facebook and they see a headline come up. They wouldn't click the link to read the article. They jump in the comments and make comment based on the headline. Case in point yesterday, one of the newspapers put up, Prime Minister's friend sues. I'm talking about Alan Warner. Prime Minister's friend. Right? What was the intent of that? Well, it was achieved because they were talking about nepotism and cronyism and all kind of thing. Prime Minister's friend. That is how they contextualize it. So all of a sudden, the only thing Alan Warner is the Prime Minister's friend. And the commentator, they jump in. They didn't read the article and all. Jump in the comments and start a bash. We don't have journalists in this country. What we have is a set of back analysts. And I think that as an independent senator, Paul Richards should know better. You should know better. Do your damn research. You don't even know when the local government election was held last year, but you come in to speak on the matter. Because we know he has the ability and the wherewithal to research, right? Because when you listen to his presentations and his contributions in the Senate, it is always well researched. But if you know he was coming yesterday morning to talk about local government reform, he should have done a little bit of research. Instead of coming to mislead people and say the foolishness of we don't know, we haven't heard anything. The last thing we heard was from the Prime Minister last year when he said that it would be rolled out early in 2024. But 3 months ago, you posed question. Faris Al-Rawi presented himself in the Senate, answered questions, gave information, told you that it's going to be done on a phase basis, the same phase basis that you suggested over the course of the next 12 months. But coming on your program to mislead the 200 and something people who were online at the time, say we haven't heard anything and we don't know. And Wendell Stevens, who should have known better to be able to at least defend the government in that regard, because you're talking about my party, and you are a local government practitioner for how many years, and you are not seized of the information, and would go so far as to call the whole reform process as a hoax. To achieve what? So the government just says, I will come with a local government hoax. Nobody focuses on local government anyway, most of the citizens. Hence the reason we had a 30% voter turnout. Because most of the citizens are not interested in local government. So to come with this hoax to do what? How does that benefit the government? But for you to dub it a hoax and for Paul Richards to tell you, how dare you? And then go further to say, I will not go so far as you did to call it a hoax. Then he says, so it's hoax-like. So trying to get Paul Richards to agree with you. Probably because he called you out on your folly. And again, why? Because you're not the mayor, as he said at the start. If it was a voting process, I would have been the mayor a long time. So you think that Chinua Aliens are just come and that you have served since 1999 and you have demonstrated that you are the consummate local government professional and therefore you've served your time and you should have been given the post of mayor? These are the concerns that I have with people who represent and say, I am PNM and a PNM. It's just like what's happening in the US with all of these Democratic senators and Democratic congressmen who telling Joe Biden to get out of the race and don't realize that all they're doing is damaging the party, because while the Republicans consolidate around Donald Trump, notwithstanding his charges, notwithstanding his conviction, notwithstanding all the rubbish that the man is talking, all the things, the fact that he embraces dictators and threatening to pull out a NATO and all of these things, that threatens the security not just of the United States of America, but the world at large. The Republicans are consolidating themselves around him. But we can't run with Joe Biden because we have problems with Joe Biden has mental acuity problems. Joe Biden old. Never mind the fact that Trump is now at the age that Joe Biden was 3.5 years ago when he became president. Right? Same age, 78. But he ain't too old. But Biden too old. So let us get rid of the man whose only problem is, okay, he just forget little things now and again, make little mistakes and whatnot and stuff. But that is a threat to the well-being of the United States of America and by extension the world, because the leader of the US president is considered to be the leader of the free world. But we are concerned about that. But we're not concerned about the man who, at every opportunity, lies with impunity. And if it is he believes the things that he says, the lies that he tells, if he believes that to be true, then we should be more concerned about his mental acuity, because he seems to have a problem with the truth. And if it is he's suffering from cognitive dissonance, that he believes, I listened to a clip in a recording with a phone conversation that Trump had with this guy, RFK Jr., talking about, vaccination of babies, and the amount of vaccination that they give the babies is enough. Is the amount you would give to a horse, and it causes radical changes in the baby's physiology. And it's like, where are these things coming from? But if this man truly believes these things, then you should be concerned about his mental acuity, not the man who might make a little mistake because, okay, the brain isn't what it used to be. He's 81 years old. But Nancy Pelosi is 81 too. She has concerns about her mental acuity. She must know how she functioning. Joe is your same age. But anyway, that's a discussion for another time. But I just thought I needed to touch on that this morning with respect to Paul Richards and Wendell Stevens, right? Stephen or Stevens or whatever it is his name is. And you read into it what you will. The fact that he made mention at the very start that if it was a voting process with respect to the election of the mayor, he would have been the mayor long time. I don't know. To me, it appears that somebody told him because they weren't given that opportunity or were bypassed on more than one occasion, because I think the previous mayor, Joel, what's his name Joel Martinez, he too was a just come. He wasn't on council before, and he was just plucked out of obscurity and made a mayor. Similarly, in the case of Raymond Timke and Louis Leasing, these guys were not, to the best of my recollection and knowledge, they were not councillors. So perhaps Mr. Stevens believes that since he was serving as a councillor from 1999 to 2016, and he would have worked so hard, as he said, the job of it's a difficult one. Again, nobody told you to go up. You offered yourself repeatedly until 2016, whatever happened. If you were rejected or you decided you didn't want to go up again, but you were subsequently an older man. So you've been in local government for quite some time. And perhaps he felt he paid his dues, and they pluck another man out of obscurity, Chinua Alain, and made him mayor. And then the young lady who is the deputy mayor, certainly she has not been a councillor as long as Mr. Stevens has been. Because probably when he became a local government councillor, she was probably still in primary school. So perhaps he's of the view that these two persons, he is more qualified than both of them to occupy either position. The fact that his party overlooked him, well, I will put some stick on all here. The same thing I said, and maybe I could be wrong, but I've listened sometimes to the utterances of Jason Williams, who was the PNM standard bearer in the 2020 election for Paria San Juan. And, he said things sometimes on his show, his program, which leads one to pause. What's going on with he? Really? Did he just say that? Again, the government is not above reproach, not above criticism. There are things called constructive criticism. But when you listen to the criticism of some of these guys, it have you wondering, seriously? Wonder if something underlying there that is feeding that. I don't know, maybe it's because certain other persons were not successful in the seat that they contested, but they are senators today. They are ministers in ministries today, and perhaps he might have felt that being who he is, that he should have been afforded the same opportunity. I don't know. But as I always say, the government is not, or the prime minister is not obligated to place anybody anywhere for offering themselves, right? You were given an opportunity, it didn't work out. But at the same time, I would say that perhaps you should, if the person has potential, we could find something for them to do. I'm not just saying just to give them something to do, right? But you want to hold on to certain people, and maybe you weren't successful contesting the election. Yeah, they could have make you a senator because you started out as a senator, and then you decided somebody came and spoke to you. I know who spoke to him and who encouraged him, because the person told me, and he decided, okay, I'll give it a try. It didn't work. But you see, as speaking as somebody who contested 2 elections, local government and general election, I would tell you, election to banker is a hell of a thing. And for me, the local government to banker was worse because I knew for sure I was not going to win the general. But it's just because they told me, go up now, we need a representative or whatever it is. I knew that was a hard seat and no way I could have win. Right? So the outcome of that election really didn't faze me. But the local government one hit my heart because I was convinced that I was going to win. Based on every household that you go to, and everybody saying, yeah, 10 votes here, and 5 votes here, don't worry, yeah, 10, you've got to go, yeah. And you count in votes based on what people tell you. And then when the election bell is rung and the election day, and when you're looking at tabulating the results in the night, it's certainly not reflective of the pledges of votes that you were given, right? So I know the impact that could have, and I'm certain Jason Williams probably thought that he was going to win. Now, again, I have no empirical data to say that is what motivates some of the man's utterances, which seem to be critical of the government. That's just my view, my assumption. So, maybe you could have made an ambassador or something, but anyway, just to make the point that if you didn't get, that is no reason for you to turn salty and attack the party and attack because you're not doing the party any good. All you're doing is providing fodder for the other side to use. They say, hey, you see, because they will see that clip with Mr. Stevens. And say, listen, local government reform, a PNM man, a PNM former councillor, and older man saying that, yeah, he says a hoax. It coming from the mouth of the PNM. They're saying that. Anyway. So, there was a story that might have missed some people. And I'm surprised that the UNC didn't make, no, I'm not surprised. Let me take that back. I'm not surprised that the UNC didn't make an issue of this, and I know why. 3 face court over Paria diving tragedy. 2 officials from state-owned Paria Fuel Trading Company Limited, as well as the head of LMCS, Kazem Ali Sr., faced a San Fernando magistrate on July 10th, charged in connection with the 2022 deaths of 4 divers, including Ali's 36-year-old son, Kazem Ali Jr. Paria's general manager, Mushtaq Mohammed, and operations manager, Colin Piper, as well as Ali, faced Magistrate Chanka. However, the criminal charges were not read at the virtual hearing after the attorneys representing Ali and his company objected to the charges being read in the courtroom. Chanka adjourned the case to September 11 when the charges are expected to be read. Attorney Renuka Rambajan, speaking on behalf of her team, told the court they were awaiting documents that they preferred to have in hand before the matter continued. Inspector Brisbane of the Occupational Safety and Health Authority and agency, OSHA, laid the charges. Right? So we see. Responding to questions from an opposition senator in Parliament in April, Labour Minister Stephen McClatchy said proceedings started in San Fernando Magistrates Court on April 2nd. So far, 3 persons are to be charged. 2 from Paria and the head of LMCS. Now, I don't listen to Professor Misinformation and Captain Clueless. Right? I can't. Because as I said, just every time I listen to them, even if it's a little bit, or somebody call us, I feel like stabbing myself in the eye with a pencil. I ain't going through that. Right? I had to be real desperate these days to listen to that foolishness. But I recall when the report was laid, the report into the Commission of Inquiry by Commissioner Lynch. Those 2 clowns, that was their topic for almost the whole week. And when persons would have called in to tell them, well, LMCS was also, blame was also apportioned to LMCS in the report. You lie, Kuala, that never happened. The report never say LMCS was responsible for nothing. The report say Paria, you didn't see the video? These 2 clueless clowns looked at a short video clip where Commissioner Lynch would have read the executive summary. The executive summary. And they thought that that was the whole report that the man read. Don't know the difference between an executive summary and the report, which was 483 pages long, right? And Lynch would have focused, and again, I also questioned Lynch's impartiality when I saw the way in which he treated persons who testified who worked at Paria, especially, I can't remember the manager's name, the lady who started to cry when she talked about when they basically accused her of being heartless and so on. And she had to tell them, well, you know, I have children, I have a son, and I would, if that had happened to my son and whatnot, by the end of the day, you know, and she had to start, and Lynch was seemingly unsympathetic. In fact, I think he made certain comments too, which only added fuel to the fire. But again, for those of us who would have looked at those proceedings would have seen that Commissioner Lynch more often than not was extremely hostile towards officials from Paria and seemed to be a little more accommodating of other witnesses and other testimonies from other persons, particularly those from LMCS. Okay, we know that it was a passion-filled event, but okay. But here it is, you see the UNC and talk about that. Now, if it was just the two persons from Paria had been charged, you would have seen Munilal would have posted on his Facebook page, Kamla would have posted on her Facebook page, David Lee would have posted on his Facebook page. I suppose Jayanti might have too, but I wouldn't been able to see it because she blocked me, as I said. The Doglaya, he would have, as soon as that information came out, he couldn't wait. He would have run to do a doubles and coffee, especially the Shana doubles and coffee. The same people who were saying nothing going to come out of that. Nobody ain't going to get charged. The PNM going and cover up that. The government going and cover up that because it's Paria and so on. No cover up. 2 persons from Paria facing charges so far. Right? The DPP is still contemplating, I think, on what charges to be laid, if any, with respect to that. But I think this should tell us that we could expect further charges down the road. But because LMCS and the owner of LMCS is to face charges, they wouldn't talk about that. Because you cannot discuss this development in a silo and not speak about the involvement of LMCS. So you can't focus, here's the charge, the Piper and the charge Mushtaq, and not talk about Kazim Ali. But we know Kazim Ali's wife was, I think, the former chairlady of the UNC's Women's League. Right? So they have a vested interest. So they're not going to come and talk about this and to the extent that they should, because it would require them to speak about the responsibility of LMCS, and that's probably one of their financiers. Because, as I just mentioned, so they have nothing to say on that. Leave it so. Yeah? Shh, don't talk about that. In the private silos, they will talk about it. But to make a big issue about it, normally they would have called a waste of time Wednesday morning press conference, or they waste of time Sunday morning press conference to read out the article and talk about that. But they can't do that without mentioning Kazim Ali. But they're about country. And see what's the time there? Right. Let me get this here. See, come on, one sec. Where is it? I was looking at breaking, well, I didn't have breaking barriers last night. By the way, I thought I'd mention that. And so Incha Nishmal hasn't been on for the last 2.5 months, as I would have indicated to you some time ago. He had major surgery. He declined last night to say what the surgery was for, but understand it was very serious. Right? That it was very, very serious. I think I saw it on the grapevine what it was. Basically near death. So last night he came on to let people know that he's okay, because persons have been asking questions, they have not seen him and whatnot and stuff. And he was making the point that his circumstance was so dire that for the surgery and the medical treatment that he had to undergo over the course of the last 2.5 months cost him $1.9 million. $1.9 million. So now he's trying to fast track the construction of the hospital on Baraka grounds. Bearing in mind, that is why those lands were supposedly given to them, right? Baraka grounds in Chabonas was to build a hospital. Hospital. It's interesting that the last piece of infrastructure going up on those lands, which was intended for a hospital, nothing else. The hospital is being constructed, and certainly not what is going up there. I'm sure is not what, given the amount of land that was given to them. I imagine that the government then, the People's Partnership, would have been of the assumption that it would have been a much larger structure. Right? But instead, we have a hospital, and on the same compound with the hospital, we have a food court. So the hospital behind the pavilion, food court, where Mr. Ishmael has a restaurant called Brilliant. You have a car wash, a swimming pool, so you could go and pay some money to get some swimming lessons. You have a plant shop, and sometimes they use the wider expanse car park area to provide parking when they have the Diwali Nagar. So I guess they could make a little extra money. And sometimes they have the expo there. And I ask the question, when these lands were given to them, to Mr. Ishmael and his team, his group, was the intention for all of these commercial businesses to be there? Now they'll tell you, well, yeah, that's how we generated the income to build the hospital. But you come in last night now to beg people to make contributions towards the completion of the hospital, right? And saying that you have had about 1,000, just over 1,000 persons. You have over 100, we have over 150,000 followers, but only just over 1,000 persons have contributed, and of that, 46% are Hindus. So he's disappointed in the Muslim community that has a lot of money, and they have not contributed. I wonder why. I wonder why, Mr. Ishmael, when you will come on your program and bad talk some of these very Hindu Muslims that you want to come now and contribute to the hospital. And he was making the point that one of the that while he was at this private institution, he would have met other Muslims there who told him, you know, Inshan, if you had the hospital, we would not be here now. We would have been in your hospital, and we prefer to give you the millions rather than give this institution the millions, right? So that couple, they were spending millions on healthcare as well, but they prefer to give him the millions. So he says, so when the hospital finished, and they're expediting it now, so that when the hospital is finished, they're gonna give back some of the money that they'll be making. They're gonna give it back in the form of free surgeries to vulnerable citizens. This is a good initiative, but they're gonna give back some. But the majority of the millions going away. So the government of the day then gave this land to the Muslim community to build a hospital so that they can make millions of dollars. So they are benefiting from a commercial standpoint, from state land. Right? Commercial standpoint. Okay. Anyway, for them, not benefiting. But I just thought I would mention that as an aside. But you see, karma, you know what they say about karma. Right? All of you vilify it. Your boss, what you do to Crow. You want to bankrupt poor Crow. Take him to the cleaners because he can't pay the bill and interest accruing. So aside from the $250, you have to pay interest on top of that. And the longer you take to pay, pressure in his backside. All right? Now watch, $1.9 million you had to pay to save your life. I find last night you still wasn't looking too kosher, but anyway, for another time. What am I looking for? Right, let's see. Where is this article? UNC to refer Hines to Privileges Committee, accused of lying about firearm users' licenses matter in Parliament. This article is dated Friday, the 12th of July, 2024. Let me show you how these people are not serious, right? And they're desperate, grasping. Opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar has confirmed that her party will be moving to file a motion of privileges in Parliament against National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines. Kamla Persad-Bissessar told Guardian Media the evidence points to a clear breach of parliamentary privilege as it shows Hines told an untruth to the GSC. This stems from a revelation by Oropuch East MP Dr. Rudal Munilal on Wednesday. He released images of a purported 2021 WhatsApp conversation between Minister Hines and then Police Commissioner Gary Griffith to Guardian Media. The messages allege that Hines sought the Commissioner's assistance in acquiring firearm users' licenses for members of his security detail. And this was something the Minister denied 1 year later at a GSC on national security, which looked into the examination of the factors that contribute to the prevalence of illegal firearms and gun violence in TNT. Munilal told Guardian Media on Wednesday that they will also consider writing to the Integrity Commission on the matter. Yesterday, Munilal, however, said the Commission has enough information to now act without an official request from the opposition. The matter is now in the public domain. The Integrity Commission, pursuant to Section 33 of the Act, can initiate an investigation on its own. Guardian Media sought to contact the Integrity Commission to find out if they were looking into the matter. Calls and messages to Chairman Hayden Gittins went unanswered. An email containing questions was sent to the Commission. However, we were told that the only person authorized to respond was not in office. But Prasad Bisesa believes the entire issue reeks of PNM hypocrisy, and she took aim at Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley with respect to an application made by his friend, Tobago businessman Alan Warner for FUL, after purported WhatsApp messages showed the PM contacted Griffith on the matter. The Prime Minister told a daily newspaper he did not ask the then top cop to fast-track Warner's application for an FUL. Griffith, however, claimed the request was about fast-tracking the FUL license. He told Guardian Media on Wednesday the hypocrisy of Rowley and Hines and others because they continue to complain about me giving firearms to the small businessman, the farmer, to the homeowner who wants to protect his family. By me doing that, it was a problem, but it was okay for them to ask for their friends. Prasad Bisesa added, the entire FUL text messaging public spat is beneath the dignity of offices of the PM, National Security, Energy, and the Commissioner of Police, and the whole charade is disgraceful and brings all offices into disrepute. The whole charade is disgraceful and brings all offices into disrepute. The opposition leader underscored that if elected as Prime Minister, people who qualify for FULs will be given access. She says the hypocrisy of Hines and Rowley is what is appalling. They requested favors for friends to acquire FULs and firearms, but are now pretending that they are against regular citizens acquiring legal firearms. So they want to take Mr. Hines to the Privilege Committee because they say they lie. And again, Mr. Imbut, a few weeks ago, said that the media is doing the UNC's work for them. They realize that UNC is weak, and so what they're doing, they're undertaking to do the work to help the UNC. Plenty of people criticize him for that, but let me just read this again. The evidence points to a clear breach of parliamentary privilege, as it shows Hines told an untruth to the GSE. This stems, here it is, from a revelation by Oropuch East MP Rudal Munilal on Wednesday. He released images of a purported 2021 WhatsApp conversation between Hines and then Police Commissioner Gary Griffith to the media, and the messages allege that Hines sought the Commissioner's assistance in acquiring firearm users' licenses for members of his security detail. What is dishonest about the media? And again, it highlights and supports what Mr. Imbut said. They say this stems from what? A revelation by Oropuch East MP Dr. Rudal Munilal on Wednesday. He released images of a purported 2021 WhatsApp conversation. All right, let me get this here. Reading an article here, Wednesday, the 9th of November, 2022. Munilal, Hines recommended people for FULs. Oropuch East MP Rudal Munilal has accused National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines of recommending several people for firearm users' licenses. Hines has denied the allegation. This is an article from 2022. During Wednesday's sitting at the Joint Select Committee on National Security, addressing the factors contributing to the prevalence of illegal firearms and gun violence, Munilal asked Hines whether he would agree that prime ministers and ministers of government should not be recommending private citizens for FULs. The former Commissioner of Police is on record as saying that very high-ranking officials, including Fitzgerald Hines and myself, Munilal, requested or recommended people for obtaining an FUL. Would you agree to a shift that PMs, MPs, and government ministers should not be recommending private citizens for FULs? So Munilal agreed here. So he's saying here, he did it too. Gary Griffith is on record as having said that Munilal, when Griffith was commissioner, also asked. Now, Munilal was no minister. You're a member of parliament. You pick up the phone and call your friend. Hey, Gary. This is what Griffith said. Munilal admitted it. That Griffith said that Munilal, would have made recommendations or asked him to do a favor for your friend, partner. Right? But he could have picked up the phone to call Gary Griffith, according to this, to ask him to do a favor so that his friend, family, or whoever could get a firearm user's license. But when it is he made his allegation against Dr. Rowley back in 2017 with respect to the AV drilling matter, and come in Parliament and say, oh, Dr. Rowley had joint account and all kind of thing, and $500,000 wire transfer going to some account in the US and whatnot. He sat down on that for a whole year, right? He didn't know to pick up the phone and call Gary or call whoever, call the commissioner of police or whatever at that point in time. In fact, I think, no, when Gary was commissioner, right? And he come back in the Parliament to say, well, look how long I did and whatnot, and up to now the police ain't called me yet. Right? I made this revelation, and up to now, the police ain't called me to say nothing, to ask me no questions. You take the file and put it in a drawer. You couldn't pick up the phone and call Gary to say, well, hey, what's going on with that? When the police come in to interview, man. But you know to pick up the phone to call him to say, hey, link me now. And anyway, Hines said and reiterated that he did not remember recommending anyone for any FUL. He said, I want the record to read that I recommended no one for firearm users' licenses. Munilal later sent photos to the media. Here it is. Munilal later sent photos to the media of a WhatsApp conversation purportedly between former Commissioner Gary Griffith and Hines. And the first message read, Commissioner, I have a couple FUL applications for my security detail of soldiers. There is no objection from the warrant officer and the TTDF. I've watched them now for 2 years and I am satisfied that they are fit and worthy. They rotate with the CJ's detail as well. Please give them your most favorable consideration should I send them directly to you. The response was, yeah, just WhatsApp me full name with reference number. Several other messages followed in which Hines purportedly followed up on these applications. When the messages were forwarded to Griffith for comment, he said Hines, the PM and current police commissioner, were being hypocritical in their stance to FULs. These three people give the impression that recommending people to have firearms or law-abiding citizens acquiring firearms is the worst thing. But these three individuals cannot in any way state that they were not instrumental or part of trying to assist many people in acquiring firearms. I have no issue with that at all because it is your right to recommend people to the police commissioner or whoever. It is your right to do so. And then it is that you will do your due diligence to ascertain if the people are eligible, entitled, and have sound body and mind to acquire it. Asked whether the photos were of his conversations with Hines, Griffith said, no comment. So since 2022, Rudal Munilal sent pictures of these WhatsApp messages to the media. But the first article that I read for you just now, hear what I said? This is following the revelation by Rudal Munilal on Wednesday of WhatsApp messages. 2022, he sent the same WhatsApp messages to the media. But in this article, the media wants to give you the impression this is something new. Oh my gosh, Munilal just get this in the mail. Somebody put it in the mailbox and he revealed this. So they now realize that Hines lied to them and he misled the JSC because Munilal just get this. But since 2022, those WhatsApp messages have been in possession. Since 2022, as this article from 2022 says, he sent it to the media. So why he didn't take Hines to the Privileges Committee in 2022? Nothing has changed. There is nothing new between then and now. It's the same thing, the same WhatsApp messages, the same testimony that Mr. Hines gave. He has not given any additional testimony to any Joint Select Committee. So you're referencing the same appearance before the JSC in 2022. And all of a sudden now, you realize, yeah. What new? What has changed? Nothing. Gary Griffith continues to maintain he will neither confirm nor deny the authenticity of those WhatsApp messages. Just last week on CNC3, they interviewed him, and he said, when they asked him about it, if he could confirm that those WhatsApp messages are genuine, and he said, well, I can't confirm, and I'm not going to deny either. Right? No. He said no comment. Right. The media said, no, right. There were two interviews. One, they said they contacted him, and he said he had no comment. The other one, where they played a clip where he said that he is not going to confirm or deny. So he's still playing smart with foolishness. Right? But then your commenter say, they are hypocrites and they ask you, but I'm not going to confirm if those WhatsApp messages that Munilal has produced, if it's genuine or not, right? Because you don't want, well, your integrity is already compromised. We already know that you lack the capacity for confidentiality. This is not the first time. But I take issue with the media, want to give people the impression that that Munilal suddenly get these WhatsApp messages last week, or it appeared in his mailbox last week. And that is what no mention here in that first article that I read for you, that since 2022, he sent those WhatsApp messages, he produced those messages. He asked Hines those questions specifically in 2022 because he was in possession of those WhatsApp messages. pictures of which he sent to the media. It was published on the front page of the paper since 2022. Same WhatsApp messages, same testimony, but it took you 2 years to decide you want to take Mr. Hines to the Privileges Committee. And you now want to refer the matter to the Integrity Commission. Nothing new, nothing additional. So why didn't you do it in 2022? Why you didn't do it in 2023? Why you want to wait until July 2024 now to do that? Because you're on folly and foolishness and your leader just as bad. For 2 years, it wasn't an issue. This wasn't, Hines didn't deceive. For 2 years, it took you to realize that, right? So all of a sudden, you sit down home, number watch over, hey, you going through your phone. I forgot I had to say, look at the pictures. So you know, sometimes your photos, depending on the type of phone I have, I don't know if I'm not an Android, right? Right. So I don't know if the Android phone do the same thing. But sometimes you would get in your photo album, it would send you memories from. So you're going through, I forget this boy. But look, the pictures there that Gary sent me. But wait now. Come to think of it. I wonder why Hines lied. But it took you 2 years to come to that conclusion. We need a distraction. All right, we're going to take him to the Privileges Committee. So they had to wait until Parliament returns, because Parliament is currently on recess, right? So I think the Parliament is supposed to reconvene sometime late August or early September, thereabouts. Right? So they had to wait until then. So they now remember that. Hey, I'm going to call Kamla. Yeah, nah. You like sit down here watching my phone and this thing now pop up here. I now see these pictures of these WhatsApp messages that Gary sent me. And I'm studying. You know, we could take Hines before the Privileges Committee. Really? Yes. But money, it's not 2 years now you had them thing? Yeah, but it didn't occur to me before, but we need a distraction. Are you serious? So listening to Kamla Pasabi says, oh, the sky is falling. And this is willful deception on the part of, yeah, but it took you 2 years to come to that conclusion, Pasabi says, I hope if and when they go to the Privileges Committee, they ask them that same question. Mr. Munilal, how long have you had the photos of these WhatsApp messages in your possession? Since 2022. Okay. What has changed since then that you now feel you need to refer Mr. Hines to the Privileges Committee? Well, nothing changed. You know, I was just going through my photo album and I came upon this thing and I had a light bulb moment. And I realized we need a distraction, you know. Something, anything. After that good song cocktail we got in Lengua Indian Walk. And in addition to that, the significant inroads that the PNM would have made in Quinam on Diablo, you know, we're still reeling from that. So we need something. Yeah? And the leader agree with me. Yeah, well, go ahead now if you think that could succeed. Well, go ahead now, Rudy. Right? You tell me them serious. It wasn't serious in 22, it wasn't serious in 23, but all of a sudden in 2024, oh boy, this is earth-shattering. Earth-shattering. What did this Pasabi Sasa said? Let me get it here. I don't want to miss Scooter. Why she keep falling off my feed? Let me get it. Right. What she said here? Pasabi Sasa added, this entire FUL text message in public spat is beneath the dignity of these offices of Prime Minister, National Security, Energy, and the Commissioner of Police. The whole charade is disgraceful and brings all offices into disrepute. She's happy to post that up on her Facebook page. It took you 2 years to do that. 2 years. Bunch of jokers. But put them in office. They have nothing. Nothing. In the wake of last week, was it? Or week before? 179, I think. I saw the revised figures. 179 young people between the ages of 18 to 35 got their 2 acres of land. Tuesday, they collect the check. The $20,000. Yes, Tuesday. So this government working. They're not all talk. While them talking about we want to create jobs and 50,000 jobs. What's happening? This government creating entrepreneurs, business owners, future business owners. The intent is to create 2,000 entrepreneurs. It was 1,000, now they're going to 2,000 entrepreneurs by 2025 through these various grant programs, right? Through NEDCO. Check and out, these people have the money in hand. They have their land. the house soon enough, their starter homes will be constructed. They will have their farmers' licenses, and we would have 179 new farmers in Trinidad and Tobago. 179 new farmers who, in short order, should be bringing additional produce to the market so that we could see a decline in the price of market produce. But they're trying to distract from that. No commendations. They need a distraction. So Shell has decided to take a final investment decision with respect to Manatee. They're going to invest money there and trying to see if it is that by 2027, Manatee gas could be on stream, right? So the graveyard that the UNC told us is Point Lisas will be back up and running. They know plenty about graveyard, but the only graveyard they know about is the political cemetery, to go there and perform political necromancy and bring a whole set of, resurrect a whole set of corpses that should remain in the political cemetery. That's what they know about. But what they call in the cemetery in Point Lisas is on the verge of being revived. They know that. They need to distract from the potential sale of the refinery. We need a distraction. So we can't have people focusing on all the good news. So let me bring up this red herring from since 2022. You come back with some old text message, something that you had since 2022 collecting dust on your phone. And as I assume. To distract again. So we don't want to talk about Manatee, we want to talk about Shell and all of that. We want to talk about the entrepreneurship and all the programs that the government is rolling out for young people. We don't want to talk about that. Yeah, let me talk about Gary and his inability he don't understand the meaning of confidentiality. Yeah, we talk about that. Focus on Hines and firearm users licenses and who asks for favors, but forgetting all you ask for favors too, right? These people are not ready. In the words of Patrick Manning, they're just not ready, my dear friends. Lack the political skill, lack the political acumen, lack the political training, lack the political experience, and would be a disaster if they were to get back into office in 2025. Play fast and loose with all your vote. 7701763. Let me put on this, switch this thing here. Turn this off. Right. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, darling.
Morning, I'm good.
I want to give condolences of your loved one.
Thank you so much.
You know anything about Munila? Double standards, hypocrisy. If it was nation before party 2 years ago, those things would have been in the public domain, not on their bed collecting dust and becoming houses for roach and rats. It says much about the lack of integrity, forthrightness, and honesty with things like that. Looking for payday for 2025. But liar, we have good memory. I want to pay fast and come by my front gate for 2025. But what I funded, a mom, a pastor, a priest, and a coffin walk with it. And how can you say you are serious-minded? The upholder is worse than the thief. Something comes to your eyes, which is not important. You don't sit on it and make eggs. Unless you're chicken. If it's that serious and important, it must be brought to the public domain as soon as you know about it. Suppose one of those behind security guards have mental issues between now and then, and they got the gun. What happened then? Suppose they get horn, or Hines dismiss them. Can guns turn on Mr. Hines? Is the hatred of, well, I can't call them people, something hell let loose, and I'm being polite. They're not serious-minded. Is it Ishmael, that's a question now.
Mm-hmm.
The money get with, did they buy a heart and conscience?
Mm-hmm.
No, because I didn't have to know.
Yeah.
If you can knock up down all the amount you had, when some is given for purpose, the purpose first. You went around the Mulberry Bush, with the savannah, went out home, went out to Tobago and Vincent before the hospital. It's because your health, 1.9 million of spent your health in the hospital, take the land from him. Because you two are a hypocrite of the highest order. Don't be blessed. People be blessed. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Jenny.
Hi, morning, Dominic.
Morning.
How everything going?
Everything passed well. You know, it was a little tough, but we got through.
Okay,
Yes.
God is good.
All the
Something, sometimes we have to walk several times. It's not something we want to think about. It is there. I
Yes.
really doesn't like to think about that. But God is good at the end of the day.
Yes.
Morning to all those who are looked on and listening, callers and listeners alike. Dominic, it appears that Black excellence, Black wealth, Black unity seem to have some people very, very uncomfortable. I'm seeing what is happening with the Warner Company from Tobago, and I am very disturbed because this gentleman is an African businessman. They tell us that African people can't do business. We can't run no business. We worthless, we lazy, we don't see. Now you have a Black a man in construction, a Black man, another business from Tobago. We have never heard in the past any bacchanal and confusion under NAR, under UNC with Pandy, under the People's National Movement, under THA led by Hochoy Charles. We have never heard this company or this man embroiled in so much bacchanal. Why now? When so much contractors in Tobago are from Trinidad and of Indian descent. While most of the contractors in Trinidad is of Indian descent. We do vex. We grew up knowing Junior Sammy. We grew up knowing a lot of the names we heard when we small, they're still there. But they are Trinidad and Tobago citizens, so they're entitled once they win the contract and have the equipment and they can do the work to do the work. Why is there so much pressure on Mr. Warner? He was granted a temporary license to quarry until 2025. Why is he being arrested, charged, and his name maligned all over? Why is that? And that is what I'm concerned. If he has done something illegal, well, the law will treat with that. But it seemed to be some type of harassment. I don't know by who or what, but you've seen it. Is it they're trying to break this man? Is it they're trying to run him out of business? What is it? I think we all born here, we entitled to the largest of this country once you qualify. So why are you on one other than the next one? And that I'm very concerned because what message does it send to the African youth who wants to get into business? Is it he must be afraid? Don't do it, because if you do that, they go zombie, you know. What message we trying to send to the people of African descent? And then you spoke also about the situation, Mr. Wendell Stevens and others. I really don't like people who passive aggressive, you know. They go into and they say nothing. And by the net, and when they get the opportunity, now they let everybody know. If you have a problem with the People's National Movement because you felt you would have served, I'm talking about anybody now, and you're not given your just due that you think you're entitled to. You have choices, but certainly one of them to a party that you would have sworn allegiance to. Come out in the open, and every time you get opportunity, send in a job at the PNN. Why don't you go to those who have the authority or the powers or the ability to talk to them about the situation. And if you're not comfortable, you're free to come out, join any other party. But you're hitting the PNM low blows in a space where the media apparently has nothing good to say about this government. And a lot of people have nothing good to say, and they just add in fire to fuel. For what purpose? That's not going to help you reach anywhere. That is not going to satisfy your ego, because you're trying to mash up the same thing that you are part of. So that's why I say I don't like people who passive aggressive at all. Come straight, talk and say, what's your problem? Say it in a space, because the PLM has an order. Go in that space and see what you have to say. And if you feel still you're not being heard, whoever it is, you have a choice. Come out the party and lead the people in the party alone. Then you sit down on it and you smiling and you grinning and he. And as you didn't get what you want, you start to come out in the open now and bat up this one and drop your little talkie and drop a little talkie. You see them kind of thing? Like just me, I don't support them kind of thing at all. You can't be fish and fowl. You have to be one. And I want to end again by saying, it is ironic, the things that the UNC would have done lavish in this country, that they got away with it, apparently. But under the radar, because it's not being reported in any way. But the PNM, who don't have a history of that type of behavior, is always magnified. The only thing they could tell you about the PNM in corruption is O'Halloran and Privat. I just sometimes wait to hear, again, the way that I talk about PNM corrupt, I think by now they should have at least about 100 people, because PNM has been in office the longest. But all they're coming up with year after year, Privat and O'Halloran. But when you look at the UNC, you could rattle off the names of people who are less corruption, but that is not a problem. That is the alternative to run this country. Minister Hines, Stuart Young SC, and the Prime Minister would have made an inquiry about something. An inquiry, there is no pressure to do, or there is no asking for favor, an inquiry. If you choose to interpret that as asking for a favor, that is up to you. And if you choose to act on that inquiry in a speedy manner, that is your choice. That can be laid at the feet of the Prime Minister or Minister Hine or Minister Stuart Young SC for inquiring. So if I said, Dominic, the shoe's ready, or because Mr. So-and-so had buy it, it's ready, or you go out your way to go down south, climb a hill, go all over the place to get the shoe and bring it back to give Mr. So-and-so. Am I fault? How did it become something wrong that the Prime? I don't understand that. When it had media people in this country was given houses at the UNC, was given packages, it is reported, no, not I just saying so. So, and we could come to the conclusion that all them reporters and journalists and all them people in the media who get house and money and package and this and that they bought out, that they obligated to the UNC to write things in favor of the UNC. And we could say that too. Correct. Will we be wrong in saying that? So what is this thing about? And again, I'll tell people, especially people of Africa, listen. Start to understand all the history now. Start to love all yourself now. And the time all you're taking to fight on another African person, take that time to develop and build yourself and understand. Together we are stronger. Because the people who's training all you have to talk about African people, like all yourself, them don't love all you, because they don't love all you, they would have never encouraged all you to do that. Because they would be happy to see the African man or woman or child in this country exceed, because they say them exceeded, they say them have everything. So they would be happy to see another group of people trying also to succeed. But why would they tell you to fight on your own? You know why? Because them don't have no self-confidence. They love themselves. Because if you love yourself, you go love everybody else. They have no love for themselves. Come up and say this and don't love themselves. I'm making that statement here today. I do enough psychology to be able to say that a person who love the self and don't love the history will always want to hate another people who they see striving. So people 2025 will have a choice. I don't keep talking, because I the most I could do. I will keep talking. And if 2025 come and all I want to choose, I'm not going to be and the UNC. With all that corruption and all the things they do to this country, especially between 2010 and 15. And all I want to bring them back into office. But all the children, African children, and all the children will reap the reward of what all they do to set back this country than more than with UNC in 2010 to set back this country. This government had to fight for 9 years. And there's still more need for fight to bring back this country, and I even keep some with Kamala and them leaving. And all I want to give them back that because what they don't like Dr. Ali too black. Since when all they hate all their skin color, so all they don't like how we come and we hear. All they like nothing about we, but all they like cool, hair straight, nose straight, and don't like all you. At the end of the day, I'll always preach love and unity at the end of the day. But you cannot be fighting on me and what I represent, and sex if I talk about it, because all of we born equal. We just want equality in this place. And because I love myself, I can love anybody else from any other race. Because when I stand with them, I stand shoulder to shoulder, eye to eye. I don't bow my head, and they don't have to bow their head to me neither. Because I was building this country, Trinidad and Tobago. So people, whatever decision in 2025, use it wisely. All I can do is just talk. So make have a blessed morning, and thank you always for the opportunity.
Thank you, Jen. Brian.
Good morning, Dominic.
Morning, sir.
Good morning to your listeners and callers. Dominic, there was a lady who was building a house for 8 years, she and her husband. Couldn't finish. But in 2015, pick up speed. There was a big sign outside in the yard who was doing the reconstruction and the finishing of the house. And then eventually when they realized, but wait, I am in politics, big politics now. I'm in charge. They scratched out the name of the contractor. That was during the term of the partnership. Today, that contractor resides, as we have heard, in Panama with our money. That contractor. Are we to read anything out of that, Dominic? It was also said that 2 financiers gave that particular individual, it is alleged, millions of dollars. I don't know, I just asking questions, you see. And she doesn't come out of that really. But if, as Sister Jenny said, this Minister of National Security is following up with the person who has to affix his signature for FUL, who you wanted to talk to find out? What is the latest? But you see, you know what caused all of that, Dominic? On the 3rd of July, when the Honorable Prime Minister read out that interim report, the Parliament, that damning interim report, it has certain people jittery. So therefore, they had to come up with something. Now, imagine Parliament suspended for the next 2 months. But them saying from now, as when Parliament will open, they're going to take Fitzgerald Hines before the privileges come in of Parliament. 2 months to go. But you see, that came about because of what the Honorable Prime Minister read out in the Parliament. That how certain people jittery. You understand? So therefore, they have to find something to take away people's minds from that interim report that the Honorable Prime Minister read. And I find something, all the good news that you spoke about the new farmers and so on, all these things that were happening, and take people's mind away from those things and let them refocus the thinking on Fitzgerald Hines, who was the laziest and the worst and the this and the that. You understand? That to do something. And it's always the same two people. They realize that, Dominic?
Yes.
It's always the same two. You understand? Former Commissioner of Police and Rudal Munilal. The chief propagandist with the UNC. The man who could take anything and attempt to turn it upside down and get airplay and make news. Because they have certain journalists in their back pocket. And that makes news for a few days. So now everything, deflated and so on, so they get quiet now. So when next 2 months, when they come back to return to Parliament,
Brian. Hello?
where did I live in? But Dominic, what is hurtful too, as Sister Jenny said, I was going to talk about it. What is this to have against Mr. Warner and Dr. Rowley? This is the fourth time they have taken, because Dr. Rowley purchased a property in Tobago where he born from a Tobagonian. That has to go to the Integrity Committee. Why? You will explain that to me? It failed 3 times. Now you're talking about Dr. Rowley's friend. Why not identify it that way in the news? What that is the other, to say, well, hey, you're good. Now, but something wrong there. Something wrong there by Dr. Rowley's friend, boy. Statement with every journalist.
Correct.
Dr. Rowley's friend, boy. Who good? Trouble there, boy. I said everybody's camping all over the place, looking for who good. Now, boy. Let me listen, something wrong. And everything else goes by the wayside. So, Mr. Warner and his group of companies, that's what I'm telling you. You see, group of companies thing, that's what's in them. He must not be successful. He mustn't get work in Tobago, and he mustn't get no work in Trinidad. What did he get all his money so far from Fali?
No.
I wonder. Well, I don't. But you see, they have to find something to trap this man, because he must be run out of Trinidad and Tobago, where he born and bred. And especially since he sold a house, a property to Dr. Rowley. That ain't good enough. And we know the price. And why so low? And all these little nitpicking things that they're doing. But nobody here asking how much that contractor finished building Pink Palace for. Anybody asking about that? Anybody asking if they were paid at all? And how much? Anybody ask those questions? No. But you could pass on the main road every day down on that side by Philippines, and you just look down the hill and you can see it. But people don't talk about that. No. But Dr. Rowley, I want to talk about one before the Integrity Committee. That's Pink Palace to be investigated. Huh?
But you know too, Brian, as you mentioned, this your Dr. Rowley friend. Did they refer to Kazim Ali as Kamala friend? From LNCS?
You understand? Well, I'm coming there just now. I'm coming to that. But you see, Dominic, and people must read between the lines. And as Sister Jenny said, all we could do is talk and let's remind people and show them and connect the dots. Not a word on the Pink Palace, no investigation, no nothing. Why? The house next door allegedly said that they said that he bought. How come no investigation into that too? If you're taking 8 years to finish your house, you can't finish it because you're buying brick by brick piece. One of us are here in office, so they could buy the house next door too. Nobody asked that question, but how you raise that money? They're getting money from one of us, Frederick doing business just got a boom, Jeffer. All of a sudden, you up with the wall of justice just for getting big major cases. What major case did you get? So bring in that type of money. If you don't talk about these things, you don't ask these questions. But Dr. Rowley buys a little property. When he born and grow, we neighbor Stringberry that up to now Paddy can't find yet. And there's a problem. This is the fourth time they want to bring me for the integrity committee to investigate that. Why? So he mustn't live nowhere. And Warner mustn't sell nothing to anybody. He mustn't do business. He's not good for, because you know, the 14 chambers in Trinidad and Tobago are headed by what kind of business people? What is the name? But Warner mustn't have anything. Warner mustn't do business. No, Dr. Oli mustn't own any house. When he finished, he must go and sit down under a mango tree and live. That is how we reach in Trinidad and Tobago. So you question all these things and make it look as though there's something dubious going on. You so tell the police to let them arrest Dr. Oli, but you can't do that. So make it look as though the integrity commission must do something. Four times. How many more times again? We have to surround here and listen to this foolishness. After every minute, every single morning, you get that behind to generalize. Why? He must inquire the Minister of National Security. Why can't he make an inquiry in that particular issue? So he mustn't talk to the Commissioner of Police. And if that Commissioner of Police wants to take things and keep it and then give it to certain people to broadcast it and propagandize it. But looking fine, let him do that because he has questions to answer too. And his day will come. Because you want to tell me for 3 years you surround me and write 7,000 FULs and nobody never asked you a question about any FUL outside of the PLF. You write 7,000, you sign 7,000 applications. 7,000, you're admitting it. Because you're doing more work than everybody, all your other former commissioners. 7,000, nobody never come up to you and say, hey, buddy, you know what's going on? So. But the reporters give us evidence of the dubious nature of some of those FPLs. So who fooling who? So you saw above board that you approved 7,000 FULs in 3 years, and all was above board. Okay, and Dr. Rowley's a liar when he read that interim report in the Parliament, and you wanted to block by Stanley John, which he will eventually sometime maybe get to listen to. All of them is liars. Okay, cool, brother. We'll see. But Dominic, I am not hearing anything about the arrest of these 3 people at all. But where's David Abdullah? One of them was outside Petrotrin Gate demanding that something be done. Justice, I mean, it's again, condolences to the families. But then everything has become political in this country. And then we got to the revelations came out as to who Kazim Ali really was and what was the connections to the UNC. Why should I say? No, that charges have been laid. I ain't hearing nobody, I ain't seeing nothing at all, nothing. I had to be final. I said, what's going on?
Where Roger?
Exactly. Where are they? They was there every single morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, in front of the camera. They have everything to say. They go, everybody, something must be done. These 4 families, this, that, the other. All of a sudden, because they thought they would only be Petrotrin employees. But when they hear Kazim Ali, well, let's stay quiet. Don't say nothing. Let me leave it so for now. You understand? Up to now, we don't even know because he was supposed to have paid insurance funds. What do you call it?
Workman's compensation.
Workman's compensation. Has he paid it? Yes or no? Up to now, I don't know. And you can't get to find out. But workers' compensation, up to now, the families are talking about that, but the lady says she's going to court, she's going to carry the government to court. I wonder if she's going to carry Kazimali to court now. You see, it's politicized. And it points in a particular direction. You see, they have these certain journalists to assist them. Otherwise, I keep reminding people when the lady from Vietnam bought out everybody and she stole $44 billion. It's only now the government get to find out that every single body was bought out. But Kazimali name come up. Nobody had nothing to say. David Abdullah, Rouge, none of them had nothing to say. When the attorneys are always barking at everybody, what I have to say today? But you see, they didn't expect that. So now they don't know what to do. So now they know they have to sit down and reconfigure how they will discuss this. And the best thing to do, don't talk about it at all. You understand? Let us wait and see what happens. See how we can go around this. That is what they do. They sit down and they start to study propaganda and how they could twist it and turn it and make it look a particular way. Because you know why? Elections coming up next year. Elections are coming. And people have to understand the messages, the subliminal messages. I want to talk about Bassa so bad, but oh gosh, we ain't had time. I know you didn't talk about it today, but that's another story.
I will raise that on Sunday, don't worry.
You see, Wassa? I so want to talk about it.
Come in with that Sunday, don't worry.
It's big. But you see, again, people have to look and read between the lines. And people must take copious notes. And don't forget people. You understand? Because the corruption was rampant from day one between 2010 and 2015. It's apparently in many ministries. Because if this government didn't get into office in 2015, where would we be today? I always remember you telling us, Dominic, after the teaspoon of $23 billion, up to nobody can show exactly what was done with it. And this government paying back $5 billion a year. People don't talk about those things, you know. They don't talk about it. Because you see, I want to tell people that white collar crime is a hell of a thing. And you have to mask it. And it is being masked to the detriment of the lives of African people. Because there are some people whose minds have been brought out at a very young age and they don't know better. But we will talk more about that another time. Have a good day, sir.
You too, sir. Yeah, that's some TikTok clips I want to play from some misguided young people. Hello, good morning.
Hey, good morning, brother.
Morning, sir.
I want to say to two callers previous to me. One, Mr. Warner is prosecuted because he defended the Prime Minister. Simply that. Two, with respect to the extradition, there is no hue and cry with the charges because the defendants are not George Young or Wilfred.
Yeah.
That is the reason why there is no hue and cry. Principals who they thought would have been charged have not been charged. That is the reason why. You know, on the matters you raised concerning the Dr. Richards and his co-host on their program, Dominic, about finance people is decide that also hosts, a podcast host, you are free to put things into the airwaves and get up a nice TikTok and hear what it is. You know what's dangerous of Dr. in a broadcaster? That was in Parliament, so he know what's going on.
Yes.
He's an independent senator, so we can trust his word. And it's precisely his behavior and that of some other senators on the independent benches why I'm saying needs to go. That antediluvian and anachronistic situation of independent senators, which is a holdover from our colonial parliament of the nominated members by the colonial governor and governor general, and they still go, but they serve no purpose because they claim to be independent. But when you see the contribution of how they vote, and more importantly, his behavior in joint select committees that he serve on, they're totally biased. They're not independent. So I'm not surprised that he would make all the utterances, but to say and to not know that the local government election was August 4th, is that serious election duty. You could just go on your phone and pull that up while you're posting your show. But these people don't care. Right? So I see another social media poster lashed by the court. And he has to pay $1 million.
Yep.
And I feel like one of the people who just troll you when you go on the page and try to interact with them. You say, know that mendicant, poverty stricken, you can't pay.
Yes.
The more good you pay, the more good make you pay. And look at the person who attempted to take one. A man who's actually not law.
Yes.
Huh? The chairman of the NCRH, not victory. And people should take notice. And you know what, like I call the people from the other place who are now broadcasting vagrants, looking for a home somewhere. But like your find on Tuesday, they might find a home in Marva Road.
Oh yes.
Because that seems to be now the bunker of buffoonery and talk in the main now.
Yes.
The people who doing sober facts and discussions and keeping callers in line, they seem to be an endangered species. We will persevere. We will persevere and go ahead. I want to something as Brian said and Sister Jenny before me about connecting the dots, right? If the allegation against government is and so on, how come, like as in the past, didn't anybody comment on in the last year say, I was privy to the shady deals that these people have made and enriched themselves? How come? How come nobody didn't comment for what they said as in the year 2015? It makes sense. How come you're targeting your friends and family? Rather than higher frequency, a man, one of my neighbors confront me. He say that how much money the finance minister's wife made on a certain thing. How much money the family of Stephen Kadies is making from since 2015 of the in Thailand ferries on there.
Yes.
And other services he provides. How much money he making? If the minister's wife has a company, is she not entitled to make? Doesn't she have to go through the same thing? A lot of people wake up now and just bring on an independent hat and think logically. I would just want to end and say that we will continue to prosecute the case of what is best for Trinidad and Tobago. What is best for Trinidad and Tobago is good governance and leveling with the population. I think the Prime Minister did again at the conference in San Fernando West there.
Yes.
And his members of parliament and who are ministers continued. Let's level with the population. Let us make up our minds from 25. I know where my mind is already made up, or unless something politically drastic happens and show total corruption. And like yourself, I criticize the government when they need me. I always criticize them on this point of not implementing the death penalty in the last 9 years. Last 9 years, many people have been sentenced to death, and they should have been. Because, Dominic, in the last, in 1999, that's 25 years ago, there were persons who have grown up without proper punishment in schools, and who fall under the issue of the Revised Children's Act and so on, the penalty for bad care of children, but they have no idea of the ultimate consequences for criminal action. I believe if you have the death penalty on the books, we must enforce it. It is the law. How you told. But I know that another discussion you will have sometime in the future.
Definitely.
In the facts.
Definitely.
My brother, and thanks for the opportunity once again.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good morning.
Morning, Dominic. Morning to all listeners.
Morning.
Two things, Dom.
Uh-huh.
One, I really want Minister Gonzalez to aggressively go after that restructuring in WASA.
Mm-hmm.
After the information you delivered this morning, I am really appalled. And the second thing, I don't know if you watch TV6 News on Tuesday night, where Fisher folks were crying out that they were not yet paid concerning the oil spill.
Mm-hmm.
But lo and behold, yesterday, Sally come out and say the THA was given 50 million.
Mm-hmm.
How now? Did that 50 million come just after the news?
Yeah.
But you see, that 50 million was there all the time. And until that piece of news came out Tuesday night, 50 million suddenly appeared.
Yes.
So, Dom, I don't know if I'm wrong. I would love for you to investigate when did central government pay out that 50 million. And if it didn't come over the news, if Paria was never going to say anything about it. Have a good morning, Dom.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yes, I saw that story where the Fisher folk in Tobago in particular are saying that, basically it's bad pay for Ali. Money was sent, and they've gotten one payment in the last few months with respect to the work that was done for that oil spill. They have money to pay the contractors who did work, but they have money for to be gallivanting all over the place. Say they're going to market Tobago. I want to see how much millions they set aside for Tobago Carnival. The last couple of years was about 13 million, and there were losses. It's 300 million in tourist spend. Yeah? 300 million in tourist spend. Where that money went? I'd love to know. They can't answer that. Right? But they have a page called Tobago People's Party. What's the name of it? By Connect or something like that. And posting a certain nonsense. A set of rubbish. Let me see what they have here. Right, I'll show it here just now. Yeah, let's see what we have here. So who is this? Is this a new person, or is this an alias for one of the previous? I'm seeing somebody by the name of Calvin Thompson saying the worst PNM government and PM in the history of TNT. Really, Calvin? You how are you enjoying the 3 increases you get in your personal allowance? Calvin, that resulted in you paying less taxes. Less in income taxes than you were paying under Kamla. Tell me now, you enjoying that, or you were happy when under Kamla it was 60,000 and under Keith Rowley is 90? How do you feel about that? I know. Small, I don't know. I don't understand now. Folly. Hello, good morning.
Hey, Robin, good morning, my brother.
Morning, sir.
Carlos Cornelia here.
Greetings.
Dominic, I listen to you every single day. At night, sometimes I will catch your reruns from 3-4 months ago. Dominic, you always bring it. And I like how you light up the goodly so-called independent senator and to that sour guy. Oh, because if you understand what he said, he should have been the mayor.
Yes.
He should have been the mayonnaise. Yeah. That's what he should have been. He should have been the mayonnaise. So he's another really thing. They get what they want, so now they want to chastise the party. And it is the wrong thing, Dominic. It is the wrong thing. It is the wrong thing. So, my brother, you continue doing what you're doing. I don't call because sometimes I don't have the time and I'm busy and all that kind of thing.
Right.
But like I said, you bring it, and great job. Good morning to people like Jenny and everybody, all right?
Yes.
You take care, Dominic.
You too.
Everybody, all right? Yes.
And I know the well, two callers previously, well, the gentleman would have made the point that his mind is already made up with respect to who he's going to cast his ballot for, and say when expect something drastic happens, And I just want to let people know. So when the UNC is of the view that they're going to win the election because they're looking on Facebook and they're seeing some negative comments and whatnot, and telling themselves, yeah, you have it in the bag and whatnot. People like myself and that caller, many of you here who would have cast our ballots for the PNM in 2020 and before that. UNC needs to understand there's nothing they could do to change our minds. You see, when you have people like Mr. Kelvin Thompson talking rubbish about the worst PNM and worst PM government in history, but when you do a comparative with what this administration has accomplished over the last 9 years as compared to others, and I would even compare them to some previous PNM administrations, right? To come and make a foolish statement like that, the worst PM, because, and I don't understand the thinking, the mindset of some of these people. But anyway. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hi.
My opinion. I am me. I am youth, overweight, and I can't lose the weight. So therefore, hell no, would I ever lose my last functioning 99.9% dead brain cells to what you can see? I'll take their money and still vote PNM. So please bribe me. I want US dollars. I want 6 houses, 2 in Tobago, 2 in Southern Twin, and 2 in Sinclair. And I will still take your houses and vote PNM. And if my houses, I have to get rid somehow, and I can't teeth. But UNC, please bribe me. I'm begging, bribe me. I want US dollars and man building. And I will take the money, change my face, and live elsewhere. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Brother Dominic.
Morning, sir.
Good morning to all callers and all listeners of this very important, informative program.
Thank you.
And just let us touch on 2 things quickly. One of those things, you see what you just teased us about water. I am very, very eager and anticipating Sunday's show.
Yes.
That is a bombshell revelation. We can't allow this nonsense to continue in this country. We cannot allow it anymore. And as our previous caller said, the faster the government can restructure that management structure in water, the better for this country. Otherwise, all these strides that the government made, releasing new technology, a new call center, new form of operations, could collapse with these same agents of corruption and chaos that's still embedded in the system of water. The sooner they can remove those people, the better for this country. And finally, you mentioned, I heard in the news this morning where Dr. Sajwan Ali, Indira Sajwan Ali, saying there is no diversification happening in this country. And the government should look at the yachting industry. Yet, all these things that you rightly mentioned last week that took place in the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service. Almost 200 young people got land officially.
Yes.
They're receiving their grants. HGC is looking to move in to build their starter homes. How come she did not mention those things?
And she never will.
How come she didn't mention it? Isn't that diversification? And this is the same thing we hear from all the agents of the UNC. You realize, as you mentioned some shows back, that they are the ones that come out and take the lead to try and save this failing party. Because the image of them is sinking every single day, deeper and deeper and deeper, and almost reach the bottom floor of the Atlantic Ocean. Because they are the ones
willingly peddling the misinformation of the UNC to try to save face with this party. Right? As you mentioned, with those divers, right? Charges are being laid now. All the agents at UNC have been calling for charges, thinking that to incriminate this government. And all of a sudden now, that has not happened. Everything is all total silence. And I tell you, this day, the population is watching, and they are ready 2025 to ensure they bury the UNC permanently. Have a good day, brother.
Thank you, sir. Jenny.
Hi, Dominic.
Hi.
I just want to encourage all those who support your show, or even mine, and all those who in the effort to make sure that the People's National Movement is the party that people, when they go to vote next year, that's the party that they would vote for without any doubt. I want to encourage all of them who are locked on now, share the live. It's not only good that you all listen to Dominic, you all need to share. That is only a way of helping in this fight. When you all get the information, share the information, whether on social media with your family and friends. It's not just good that you see 200 on the live and that, and when you look at the shares, 10 shares or 5 shares. Keep sharing it, because on the UNC side, where there's nonsense or foolishness, when those two fellas on 91.9 talk on evening and you see the amount of shares, the nonsense them talking, we need to also share the truth. If you all getting the truth here, the information here, you need to share. Whatever platform that we on, where you're getting the truth, share the information. Stop asking about the social media office of the People's National Movement. All of us here who believe that the PNM and know that the PNM under Dr. Christopher Rowley is the government to remain in office with all the things they are doing. When you look at the energy sector have never been so exciting ever. Minister Stuart Young has brought it to us. We understanding what that ministry is about. We see all these. Let me tell you how foolish the information is coming from that show on evening on 91.9. They hear us always talking about Dr. Rowley and Minister Young going and meet the oil giants and them in Hagan, Texas. These individuals are so devoid, either deliberately or it is naturally, of any type of cognitive intelligence, emotional intelligence. They are saying basically that Minister Stuart or Dr. Rowley going out there to meet with the oil giants like corruption because them alone going. They don't understand. It's like when you say the Lakers, who is the first person come to mind? Magic Johnson. When you say Chicago Bulls, the first person come to mind is Michael Jordan. It's not because it's them alone on the team, but they are the standout players. So it's the same thing if Minister Stuart Young, the Minister of Energy and Energy Industry, going out to speak to the oil giants, or Dr. Rowley, the Prime Minister of the country. We will focus on them. We are not going to focus on the team that's going with them. The team is made up of permanent secretary and all the technocrats. It's not the ministers alone meeting with these people. So I just tell you the misinformation that these guys giving and saying they're educating people. So if you all here saying that Dominic is educating, or let us watch Jenny and she educating, or what this or whatever, you all need to share. Don't keep it all yourself. That's the only way we will get the message out, We are dependent on you all to take it from here, to take it to the next level, because we can't do everything. So again, I'm urging people, please share the live, share the information. When you make a comment, you go on all these people, different pages, make the comment, carry the information to them. If they block all it, let somebody else jump on and share the information. That is the only way we will be able to win this, because social media is a very important part in this fight. And before I leave, I want to congratulate Minister Camille Robinson-Regis, who is the leader of government business in the House, for making sure that the instrument bill was debated on before the Parliament had recess. Because there's a lot of bills to be debated, and she made sure that that was there and it was debated. Coming out of that, we have the steel pan being proclaimed the national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago and to be assented by the president of this country. And I want to urge Paria and Tobago, when the time comes for nominated persons for a national award, that you will nominate Ms. Beverly Ramsey Moore. She has done human service since becoming the president of Paria and Tobago. Paria and Tobago has now become an organization where we're not here in Bacchanal and confusion. All the pan shows will run smoothly. Everybody enjoyed themselves. They had a time, and she's taken Paria and Tobago to the next level with that building that got down there on Rising Road. We now understand why the skeleton thing looking into Train City. Nothing was done. We understand it. It was never given legally to Paria and Tobago. Now they have property, and I'm sure it is legally given now so that they could do Paria and Tobago business in the heart of Port of Spain, where pan came out from, steel pan come out from. So I just wanted to rest those things there, and again to urge all who listening here, it's not good enough you just like Dominic, call and say, if Dominic informed me. You have to take that information and inform others. You have to share the life, and keep sharing the life. Thank you again so much, Doc.
Thank you, Jen. Yes, there's a gentleman that I have to respond to on YouTube with respect to his opposition to my comments on that whole Paria and Tobago arrangement, but I think I'll do so on Sunday when I have some more time. I just have like another 5 minutes here, so I'll take Brian and then we wrap up. Brian,
just 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard anybody outside of the government congratulate or speak about PAN being legislated in the parliament? Anybody?
No.
The national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago?
No.
I could have missed it. But have you heard anybody, all those who, when they speak, it makes news? Have you heard anybody talk about PAN? The national instrument. Maybe we're fighting when Northeast preliminaries going on to going to Queen's Park, Savannah in the North Stand. Have you heard anybody talk about it?
Nope.
I wonder why, Dominic. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. We know why. And they will not talk about it. So let me see. So it is 9 o'clock. So thank you folks for joining me this morning. Always a pleasure, as usual, to share my thoughts on what's happening in the country and to clear up some misinformation that's out there, especially coming from persons who should know better. Right? So Paul Richards, Wendell Stevens, as Jenny said, if you have issues with the party, wherever is your problem, I mean, to make a comment like you would have been me if it was an elected process where they just select people and you put in people to serve as mayor and so on who can't run a parlor. Who is that directed to? Well, okay. But for PNM persons to be making these types of comments out there undermining the decision-making process or the, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, for the leadership. If you can get, okay, relax yourself. You had your time. Well, if you feel you should be the mayor. Eric, you're late, you know. I'll give you 5 minutes. Hello? Hello?
Good morning.
Yes, sir, you're late.
Well, you know where there's this there when they kind of over Steve and say. Well, I have so much to say, but I will do 5 minutes. So I will do that for Sunday because I have plenty to talk.
Oh, I'm
so
sure.
I will do that for Sunday. Actually, yeah. Because I did I put up some things on my laptop here. I need to already discuss that. So I'll do that for Sunday.
All right. Well, I'll see if you have a few minutes on Sunday to expatiate.
All right, good.
Yeah. Yes, folks. So enjoy the rest of the day. As I always say, make it a productive one. Right? And if you could do something to promote your government, share the good news and the work that the government is doing. Because it seems there are even persons in the party who prefer to use their platforms to bad talk the government, bad talk the decisions of the government, because they're suffering from a severe case that didn't get, rather than they go out there and promote what the government is doing to ensure that after 2025, we could still have the PNM administration in power to continue to do the good work that is being done, right? Especially for the young people. And while it is all of the fully done's happy to only share negative news on their platforms, all of the good things that some of their own children participating in and benefiting from, they wouldn't share it. But they're telling them, go on, sign up for the program, you're getting 2 acres of land, $20,000, and you're getting a starter home and all of that. Go and sign up for it, but you would never see them post it on their Facebook page. They will never do a doubles and coffee or some other live to talk about that. And encourage the young people to sign up. All of these programs, they wouldn't do that. No, I come to say, oh, the PNM doing nothing for the youth, and the PNM like black people, and the PNM like poor people, and Rowley say the rich must get richer to create opportunities for the poor. And while they continue to espouse and talk about jobs, and they'll create jobs, this government created entrepreneurs and continues to do so every day and continues on a daily basis to create more opportunities so that persons from the African community in certain areas, in particular East Port of Spain and so on, can become entrepreneurs, right? And instead of looking to send out resumes because you have 6 and 7 passes and hoping you get a job paying you $4,500 or $5,000 a month, the government is telling you, come, we will train you and give you the tools that you need to become your own boss. And that you can hire other persons as well and teach them what you learned and what you were afforded by the government, so that they too could take advantage and become their own bosses, right? The US economy is built on the back of the small and medium businesses, and this government has done more than the People's Partnership ever did in their 5 years to promote that, both existing businesses and creating new businesses. So anybody who wants to talk rubbish like Kelvin Thompson, wheel and come again, my friend. When you want to make statements like that this is the worst PNM government and the worst PM, support that with facts. Bring your documents, bring your facts. Otherwise, you're talking rubbish, trash. But I will leave you. I am not in the habit of blocking. So I know the folks that on the live there, they will deal with you good and proper. So folks, we will chat again on Sunday morning, God's willing. We're discussing WASA and other things. All right, so I'm going to go and do my research, because you know I am not like certain people. I don't just come and yap. When I talk, I cite my sources, yeah, so we can have a meaningful discussion. So when you all take what I say and carry it outside here, nobody could contradict you. We will chat again on Sunday.